Hello, everybody, and welcome in on this Saturday, November 29th. I'm Chris Allen, and this is 270 weather for the 270 area code and beyond. Thanks for tuning in on this 29th of November. And some of you, I have noticed, have also noticed sleet, little, little tiny ice pellets that fell about an hour ago. Yeah, it's been about an hour. Well, here in Bowling Green. And remember, I now live right next to the airport here in Bowling Green. And so about an hour ago, officially, we had sleet with the very beginning of the moisture, and then it has all changed to rain. And so that was expected, and there's nothing out of the ordinary. Okay, I'll tell you right away that if you're thinking about going out tonight, you are just fine. That sleet that fell pretty much melted on impact because the surface temperatures are not cold enough. Now, for a few minutes, there may have been the little pellets of ice that you noticed out there, and they just kind of sit on your car or your windshield or just kind of sit there for a few minutes, and then it just kind of went away. Now it's just water. Now we're just getting rain. And that rain is forecast to continue all night long. We're not expecting anything else. No snow, no freezing rain, no ice overnight, no travel issues, none of that. So I just wanted to reassure you that if you were watching me last night when I did this podcast, everything is playing out exactly as I said it would. That there would be this brief period in which you would see a little bit of sleet, or maybe even a snowflake in some cases, mixing in with rain, then would all go to rain. Well, that's because the warm front is now pushing its way northward, and now we're in the sector of warmer air. I know it's still chilly and temperatures are only in the 40s, but it's warmer air. Now, the reason why we had the sleet and those little ice pellets that came down is because the cold air layer came almost all the way to the ground. And the only place that's warm is right near the ground. And so that's why we saw the ice pellets. But now that warm air layer is starting to go up and it's pushing the cold air layer off or up. And so now we're just going to get rain. It's like if you were to, if you were in, let's say you had the room heated up, this room heated up, and you dropped a piece of ice, it it would stay a piece of ice if you let it go close to the floor. But now if you're way up in the atmosphere where it's cold, and then you had a really warm layer of air between way up here and the floor, then it would have time to melt into rain before it hits the floor. That's exactly what has happened. So it started out with the cold air layer down here. That's why we saw the sleet. Some of you are still getting some. But as that warm air layer goes up in altitude, then we start to see a change over to rain. So it's going to be rain all the rest of tonight. There's not going to be any slick roads. There's not going to be any icing. It's not going to get cold enough tonight to cause any issue except for wet roadways. That's it. Like I said yesterday, this that's happening tonight is a nothing burger. Nothing burger. No cheese, pickles, onions, sesame seed bun, or even special sauce. Nothing burger. But now, hang on. Monday night into Tuesday is still looking like, we may need to pay a little more attention to that. I'm not saying that it's for sure because we're still waiting for a little bit more data, but the data that's come in, and I'll show you that, is starting to look a little like something may come from that. So I'll show you that in just a moment. But first, let me show you this, and I'll get to your comments here in just a moment because I know there's a lot of them. Here's a look at the numbers for this Saturday, November 29th. We made a high of 50. Now, we hit 50 at just after 2 p.m. this afternoon here at the Bowling Green Airport. That's 4 degrees colder than the normal high of 54. So we weren't too much off the mark. But our low this morning was 25. It is not going to get that cold tonight. So this is why I say do not worry. The sleet and the rain that's coming down right now is not going to freeze over tonight. We are going to stay enough above freezing tonight that you will not have to worry about sleet, ice, snow. It's just going to be pure rain. Just rain. All right. I'll explain why in just a moment. First of all, let's thank our sponsor, R&R Controls, because they want to get you set up with a generator. A Generac generator, the number one name in generators, because as you can already tell, I think many of you already have a good sense that this winter is going to be exceptional in that we're going to lean more toward, I think, rounds of this kind of weather. And I think it's going to be a little bit more often than what we've been used to over the last few years, when you would think, well, this winter is just going to be warm and we're going to get storms and we never get snow and we never get ice and we never get real winter. Hang on. I think this winter we are. All the signs point to an active winter season, and not just snow, ice, not just that, or cold, but even severe storms. Yes, we can have that with this La Nina pattern that we're going into and kind of leaning that way. So you need a generator. And you may think, for my home, do I really need a generator? Well, it all depends on whether you think you can get by with just a flashlight or lighting candles when the power goes off. And you can do without your computer or your TV or your refrigerator or any other electrical appliance. Can you? Do you want to? You don't have to, because R&R Controls can make financing happen so that your home, no matter how small it is or how big it is, can get a Generac generator. Affordable generators. They are the authorized dealer, sales, service, installation, and most of all, most importantly, preventative maintenance. A generator for your home or your business. R&R Controls can do it all. You just got to give them a call, 270-777-2024. That simple. 270-777-2024. Because with R&R Controls, you will never be without. They will make sure of it. Okay. Thank our sponsor, R&R Controls, for everything they do and making all this possible for you this evening. Now let's get to the nitty-gritty. Oh, yeah. Here's a look at radar. And this radar is a composite in motion. What it means is taking all the NEXRAD radar sites from around the country like a big puzzle and putting them all together and running the animation to show you movement. So obviously, where you see all this blue, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, that is snow, and not just snow, but heavy snow. Places like Michigan and Wisconsin and even northern Illinois, Indiana, we're talking about 20 plus inches of snow, and it's coming down. But here's the other thing I want you to notice as I put on my little marker here. Look at this. See this? That is a warm front. Now, if you were watching me last night, I said once that warm front comes through, it will be the dividing line between the really wintry weather and just rain. Here we are in southern Kentucky, Bowling Green, and the 270. You can see now that the warm front is north of us, but as it was coming through about an hour ago, that's when we had that brief period of sleet. So if you're getting sleet right now still, well, that means the cold air layer is still pretty close to the ground, but it's starting to rise now with the warmer air, and it's eventually going to change your sleet over to just rain. And that will happen for the rest of tonight. It's not going to just magically change to snow or freezing rain or anything else. It's all just going to be rain. Let's take a look here. I'm curious because we can look at some webcams. Let's go to Kokomo, Indiana. Jennifer McMahon, she's a weather watcher there. And yeah, I can do this. Let's look in on Jennifer. Look at this. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Kokomo, Indiana, live at 6:03 p.m. Central Time. This is Jennifer in her vehicle, and look at the snow that's coming down. This is not the Kokomo that the Beach Boys sing about in the movie Cocktails. Way down in Kokomo, Aruba, Jamaica. No, it's not that place. This is Kokomo, Indiana. Look at that. Look up at the lights. Look at that snow. I mean, they've probably, I would say, just by looking at this, probably have about 3 to 6 inches. Now, scrapers have been by. That's where you see some of this on the side of the road. But look at it coming down. And she's adjusting her camera. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. Now, I know some of you are like, I want that to happen here. Well, that is not going to happen here, not tonight. What's happening tonight is just rain and a little sleet. So, yeah, isn't that great? Isn't it great that we can do this, that we can show you this? Thank you, Jennifer, in Kokomo, Indiana. But you see, look, when you get north of here, you get into Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa. These people are used to this kind of weather, and they're like, this is nothing. Down here in southern Kentucky, oh, it's something. This would paralyze us if this came here, but this is not coming here. Okay? It's staying north. But thank you, Jennifer. Kokomo, Indiana, right there under her little banner. Terre Haute's getting it. Indianapolis is getting it. Bloomington is getting it. Effingham, Illinois, but it's about to come to an end. And where you see some of this purple stretching all the way down to Vincennes, Indiana, that's a mix. Then, as you see south of the warm front, it all turns to rain. And here we are, Bowling Green, southern Kentucky, Let's check it out. Well, let's go to Louisville. Here's Louisville. We can look into Louisville. This is at the airport. No, actually, this is downtown. Sometimes they have the camera on at the airport, but I think since the tragic UPS air crash that happened a few weeks ago, they took that camera out and they've put one up downtown. So we thank Louisville Metro for giving us a peek inside and the has cams where you can see it's rain. And look at the temperature. It's 41. But still, there are still some reports of sleet in the Metro Louisville area because of what I just talked about. That layer of cold air, which is near the ground, is still causing it to sleet. But all of this, as soon as it hits a surface, a building, a road, whatever, it's all melting and it all goes to rain. Winds are coming out of the south. Look at that, at 29 miles per hour. So it's going to be breezy overnight tonight. How about we go to Litchfield? That's more in the 270. You see rain on the radar. Let's look there. And, you're probably getting some rain. It's kind of hard to see with the position of the camera. It's not like there's not raindrops hitting the camera like the one in Louisville. But Litchfield, you're getting rain and your temperature is at 44 with a southwest wind at 11. So that's just to give you a little clue as to what's going on. Now, don't have a camera here in Bowling Green as part of this network, but that's coming. That's coming. You see, what we have is just rain. Even though some of you may say, I'm getting a little sleet here and there. Well, you could be, but it's not going to last. It's going to go away very soon. Whoops, let's see here. A. Marie Sullivan. My brother lives in Greencastle, Indiana, and it was snowing there this morning. All right. Let's look at Peggy. My daughter lives in Iowa. They're getting lots of snow. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Crazy, crazy snow. We're talking 2 feet of snow in some cases. Some of you are hilarious. David, I hope it doesn't rain on my floor because that means I need a new roof. Lord, have mercy. Yeah. I would say, yeah. Here's Gladys in Litchfield. We have rain. Here's Diana in Adolphus. That's right on the Kentucky-Tennessee border. As you're headed, say, toward Westmoreland, Bethpage, Tennessee, down 31E, 231. I was just there this afternoon in Adolphus, and it's raining there. Thank you, Diana. So, yeah. All right. Appreciate your reports and supports. Yeah. So it means a lot. It tells the story. We zoom out a little bit more. Now, I will tell you that you see the cold front back here about Jefferson City, Missouri, down to about Springfield, and then just west of Little Rock and Hot Springs in Arkansas. That is going to come through late tonight, very early tomorrow morning, and it's going to establish colder air. That is key. Remember that. It's not going to be as warm tomorrow as it was today. We hit 50 today. We're not going to hit that tomorrow. So this is key with the colder air coming in on the backside of that low pressure system that's over northern Missouri. It draws down. Speaking of draw, let me draw. It's going to draw down much colder air as the low begins to just kind of travel off to the north and east. Now, there's another system that I'm keeping an eye on, and it's the one that is going to come in for Monday night and Tuesday. So let's go to the outlooks. Let me turn this off and look at the impact here. Let's go day one. This is today. This is tonight. This is to show you that there's going to be absolutely no impact whatsoever from whatever sleet that you're getting or have received. And that none of this, none of what's happening right now is going to get cold enough tonight to freeze over the roads. So if anybody's telling you that, that's not true. I haven't seen anybody say that. It's just going to be wet, a chilly, wet rain all night tonight. Let's go to tomorrow, Sunday. Now we see that not much is going to happen. That's because we're going to be in between systems. Now let's go to Monday. And oh, look at this. Now you can see, let me turn off the fronts because that's inaccurate to have these fronts up there because that's not the way the position the fronts will be on Monday. So you see by this, it's a minor chance of impact on roads from Lexington down through Bardstown, down through Litchfield and E-Town, down through Madisonville and Paducah. If you were watching me last night, you will recall that I said if we could paint a line from the Western Kentucky Parkway and the Bluegrass Parkway, north of that line is where the better setup for snow is going to be Monday night and Tuesday. And look, that's where it is. Here in Southern Kentucky, not much of an impact. We could have a little something on cars, rooftops, maybe some back roads that haven't been treated, maybe some bridges and overpasses because it will get cold enough Monday night into Tuesday to cause some travel issues. But right now, it still doesn't look like it's going to be that big of a deal. But where it is a big deal, like north of us, there could be some issues there. So that's what we're going to keep an eye on over the next couple of days. Now, let me share something else with you concerning Tuesday morning and forward. Okay. Here, let me show you this from the National Weather Service. So what this is, and I'm going to take my little photo out of here. Let me turn off. Let me see here. I want to do this so it doesn't, I don't want it to cut my mic off. Okay. So I can go in here and let me reposition this. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. How about I do this? Yeah, I can reposition myself so it's not taking up so much of the screen. Okay, so now, all right, this is what I wanted to show you. This is the latest data coming in from the National Weather Service concerning the potential track of the system that is coming in for Monday night and Tuesday. And as you'll see up here, it says uncertain. Storm track and winter precipitation amounts remain uncertain. And here's why. The next piece of energy coming in, low pressure system, is looking to go a little bit further south than what we were looking at just yesterday, because now we're starting to get a little more detailed data on how this thing is going to go. But it could go in between of these three ways. It could go right through Mississippi, Middle Tennessee, Eastern Kentucky. But the latest data is showing a lean more, as in line number 2 or line or track number 3. Line number 1 is the way it looked at first, but now it's looking a little further south. So as they explain over here, Monday night into Tuesday, uncertainty remains with the storm track. Track 1 would take it more north, more rain for us, but could end as snow or a wintry mix. Track 2, if it takes this track or in between 1 and 2, the range of precipitation could be snow along and north of the parkways, as I just mentioned. Because the low winds around a low pressure system go counterclockwise. So if it moves in this position, tracks this way, northeast, it is going to throw colder air back into Kentucky. And if it's enough cold air with the precipitation, that's when you could get some accumulation of snow. Track 3 would be the one that would throw in the coldest air. Mostly snow in Kentucky, drier along and north of the Ohio River, and you would not end up getting as much precipitation here. We're talking about the Wabash River, parts of the Ohio River, because it would just be too far south. But what it would do is really throw that cold air over central and southern Kentucky. So overall forecast confidence that something is going to happen Monday night into Tuesday is medium, which means, like I just said, we're all waiting on just a little bit more data to fine-tune this thing, which I think we can by tomorrow. Now, let me show you this. I don't want to show you anything that's too complicated, and that's the problem with a lot of maps that you see thrown up on social media. There's a lot of maps without any context, without any explanation, like I'm doing for you right now. Here are the potential impacts Tuesday morning if this plays out in a worst case scenario. Likelihood of impact could be greater than 50%. Places like Cincinnati, maybe Frankfurt, in between Frankfurt and, say, Lexington and Louisville. Louisville, you would have more of a less than 50, maybe 40 to 50% chance of impact, and that would be, icy conditions on the roads because of whatever precipitation falls would then freeze. By then, the surface temperatures, pavement temperatures, bridges, overpasses would then be cold enough to whatever falls would cause things to ice over Tuesday morning. But look, down here in southern Kentucky, and here we are, where this dark blue to light blue is, we're talking anywhere from 5% to a 20% chance that we're going to maybe have some kind of impact on the roads Tuesday morning. That's not very high. So right now, it does not appear that we're going to have enough impact to cause travel issues. Now, the one thing it's going to be for sure is cold. Look at these wind chills. Tomorrow, here's Sunday, 26, but then the wind chill of 18 on Monday, 28 on Tuesday, and then it stays in the 20s. Tomorrow, the reason why, Sunday into Monday, there's going to be more of a breeze, and it's going to be colder. So that's why the wind chills are going to be as awful as they are going to be. Look at Campbellsville on Monday, wind chill of 13 predicted. There's a lot of teens in here on Monday as that system begins to pull in here. Next few days, they're showing temperatures a day or two in the upper 30s, but mostly low 40s to mid 40s. And again, this is, as I explained last night, if you watched, because Kentucky is due north of the Gulf, we're always pretty much 9 times out of 10 going to be on that fence between too warm to snow, too cold to rain, or we're going to get a mixed bag of sleet with rain, with snow, and it's not going to be one precipitation type or the other. There would have to be a lot of deep, cold air established over southern Kentucky for us to get a big snow. So this is why I'm kind of leaning toward, it's not going to be a big deal. Not yet, anyway. All right, let's go to the Kentucky Mesonet Network, and you can see that we've got lots of 40s across the area. Precipitation, very little. Notice east of 65, nothing yet. But now that we've had that little bit of sleet, and now we're getting rain, some locations have already picked up 1/10 of an inch, like Hopkins County and Christian County, back toward Caldwell County and western Kentucky. All of this is rain. It may have been sleet for a minute, but that's it. Winds are coming out of the south, sustained 10 to 15, with gusts already up to 25 miles per hour. And that's here in Bowling Green. It's breezy, and it's going to stay breezy all night until the cold front comes through. And when the cold front comes through, the winds are going to shift from the south to the northwest. That's when the drawdown of the colder air is going to take place. Tomorrow's just going to be cold. Cold. Let's go to the maps. Load in all the fronts. There's our frontal boundary to the north. And there's the dividing line between the wintry weather that's currently happening. You saw it live in Indiana. And the rain that's happening down here. Here comes our cold front. Sometime after midnight, it's going to come through early tomorrow morning. And then the rain shuts off 6, 7 o'clock in the morning for Bowling Green. Then the rest of tomorrow, your Sunday, is going to be dry. And we may see the sun come out, especially afternoon. But it's going to be a chilly day, struggling to even reach 40 for a high. And then we drop back down into the 20s Sunday night into Monday. Here we go, Sunday night, 6 a.m. Monday morning, the first day of December. We're all headed back to work. Some school systems heading back to school. Nothing going on, but look what's coming back from the west. Oh boy. Here comes the precipitation. Now this is 6 p.m. Monday evening. And with this disturbance, this little shortwave trough, we call it, or a little shortwave disturbance, causing a trough back here to the west, where we get the big dive of colder air, that's where you're going to see most of this being a mix over to snow. Southern Indiana, northern Kentucky, Wabash River, southern Illinois, much of Missouri. But then once you get down to the Missouri Boot Heel, you get into Arkansas, you get into Tennessee, western Kentucky, southern Kentucky, it's rain. But here's the clincher. This is 6 a.m. Tuesday morning. Notice they've got the low tracking sort of in between that number 1 track and the number 2 track I showed you. So if it goes right through, say, southern Kentucky and into northeastern Kentucky and West Virginia, it is going to throw back that colder air on the back side of the low. And as you can see, that's going to change whatever leftover precipitation is out there to maybe a mix or maybe to all snow, depending on where you are. And it depends on what the temperatures are at the ground level and what they are above us. Really, a lot of this precipitation type is dependent upon the temperatures above us and not on the ground. That's why sometimes you can have snow at 35, 36, 37, 38 degrees. You say, it's above freezing. Why is it snowing? Well, because you've got a shallow or deep enough cold air sitting over the top of you to where the snowflakes don't have time to melt before it hits the ground. So this could be one of those cases where you might see a snowflake, but then if it's too warm near the ground, then it's not going to stick. See, this is why it's so tricky to predict and forecast frozen precipitation type events. And this is why you should never, ever, ever buy into the maps that are thrown up on social media saying 10 days from now, 15 days from now, we could get a huge snow. Well, possibly, but more likely, if you live here in Southern Kentucky, you're probably not. And then people change their travel plans. People change their business plans. They pace the floor. They get worked up for no reason because some yahoo got on social media, posted a graphic that's 10, 15, 20, 46 days. Remember that one? 46 days out. It's going to come a big snow. It's foolishness. Yeah, okay, it's kind of cool to maybe if you want to say, we're just kind of just, I'm just showing you this because it's not really a forecast, but it could happen. Yeah, like a broken clock is correct twice a day. But does it help anybody? No. See, now this is gone by Tuesday night into Wednesday. Here's Thursday. Another front comes through, but this one is going to be pretty dry, but it's going to reestablish some cold air as we head into Friday. And here we go again. Now, all right. So now we're getting into the time period of Christmas parades. Yes, this coming weekend. Well, weekend. Today is Saturday. So a week from today is Christmas parades pretty much all over the area, or the majority of them. Here's Friday morning, then here's Saturday. Right now, it looks like a chilly rain. A chilly rain for Christmas parade Saturday. SG Law, hate to be a squeaky wheel, but audio is cracking a little, and it was perfect last night. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Well, it could be because I'm gone 40 minutes here and it's taxing the system. So I'll hurry up. But anyway, you guys just, if you can let me finish here, then we'll get out of here. Here's one of the last things I want to show you. Here is the comparison of models. Here is the system coming through right now. Notice it's all rain. This pretty much verified. Now the colder air is coming in overnight and during the day tomorrow. And then into Monday, colder air is as you see there, we're kind of on the border between the coldest air and warmer air. But look at this is a little trough. This is a little system that's going to try to make that run at us Monday night into Tuesday. Gulf moisture starts to catch up with the colder air, but still, look, it's mostly rain or on the borderline of being rain or snow. Now, maybe central or eastern Kentucky will have enough cold air established based on the track of the low to get enough snow. But notice, now there's a difference between the upper low, which I showed you coming through Kentucky, and then the surface low down further south. But those two will work together to set us up for Monday night into Tuesday. And then after that, pretty quiet all next week until we get into Friday and Saturday. Now, this model, the European model, is showing, hey, it could be cold enough for snow on Friday afternoon and evening. Maybe not, because look, it quickly changes to rain because the coldest air has now moved north. But this is a big if, and it's 7 days away. Right now, I'm going to lean toward it's just going to be a chilly rain for Christmas parades next Saturday. Here is a look at the blender. And as you can see, we've got 30s, 40s, 30s and 40s daytime, 20s and 30s nighttime. Pretty much where you need temperatures to be, especially at night, for frozen or wintry precipitation. But during the day, no, not really. Mostly rain. That's the takeaway. Mostly rain. All right. So, it's going to be one of those touch and go situations where we're just going to have to keep watching to see what happens and go from there. David, sounds like you're eating Rice Krispies. Well, actually, I am. How did you know? I'm not. There is something that's eating away at resources in my computer, and it's a fairly new computer that's causing this, because after I rebooted, like last night, there was not a blip in the audio at all. But now there is again. So, all right. Yes, Mr. Lawson. I hate to be a squeaky wheel, but audio's, yeah, okay. Thank you. All right. So there you go. Bottom line is, tonight, no worries. None of what's falling out there, the rain, even if you're getting sleet, it is not going to ice over. Roads will just be wet. It is not going to get cold enough tonight for any of that water to freeze. You're good to go all night into tomorrow morning. Okay? And the winds are going to they're already picking up, and that's going to help dry off the roads anyway. But now the thing to watch is Monday night into Tuesday. And we'll just watch it to see what develops. In the meantime, thank you guys for watching. God bless you. And I'll talk to you tomorrow, hopefully without any Rice Krispies in the microphone. God bless.